If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
It's not popular to go after some of the defendants that we went after today, but justice is served blindly. And how do we countermand that? Simple. The unsealing of these indictments today shows the force of the Department of Justice and our great Attorney General and the leadership that we have at the FBI and the team here to specifically mete out justice. And look, let's not, mince words. This is the insider trading saga for the NBA. That's what this is. That's why we are going to take heat. But as the evidence comes out, as the indictments are unsealed, you will see the extensive work these men and women put in, countless hours over years, and that's how we countermand it.
Donald Trump, I believe, wants Mandami. That is his dream, because he will use him politically all across the country, and he will take over New York City. Make no mistake. It will be President Trump and Mayor Trump, and he will come in and take over the city. I have no doubt. All he said was, his analysis is after the polls, it's a tough choice between a Democrat and a communist. And he considers Mandami a communist. He happens to be a socialist, but between a communist and a Democrat, it's a tough choice for him.
Welcome, my friends, to the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Fastest hour in American media. Two of the top stories today, and we had a tough time deciding what we were going to lead with because there's other stuff going on. We have a breaking scandal with the NBA. I used to call it the TBA back in the day, the Thug Basketball Association, but I stopped that years ago because I didn't want to be accused of saying things that would be insensitive to the makeup of the players in the NBA. So I stopped calling it the TBA. And of course, that's a huge story. The intricacy of what's going on here with that story is mind blowing. And my question is, do you think that the NBA is the only organized sports organization where this kind of stuff is happening? And then, of course, the debate. The three-way debate between Curtis Sliwa, Andrew Cuomo, and Mamdani. You know, when you start just referring to a guy by his last name, he's arrived at some sort of status. You don't even have to say his first name, just Mamdani. Everybody knows who you're talking about. Like when you get AOC, everybody knows who you're talking about. That apparently was a stem winder. I listened to the clips. I refused. But I listened to so many clips, I feel like I actually caught the best in all of the debate. Now, New York Post on their X feed put up Curtis's opening statement, and it runs about a minute, and that was really good. Most of you have already the debate. You dealt with the debate. So what we'll do is, if we have time, we'll go through all the debate stuff. The moment I thought that Andrew Cuomo came alive. Finally, when he zinged, there were several ones. He cut 5. Let's just do this now. I thought this was one of Cuomo's strongest moments.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand my friend doesn't really understand government. The governor doesn't build housing in New York City.
Not if it's you.
No, legally, there are jurisdictions. The governor doesn't pick up trash. He doesn't run the fire department. That's what the mayor does. The mayor builds housing. The state allocates funding for localities. And I allocated more funding for housing than any governor in the history of the state of New York. All right? I did things. You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives. You don't know how to run a government. You don't know how to handle an emergency. And you've literally never proposed a bill on anything that you're not talking about in your campaign. You had the worst attendance record in the assembly, and you gave yourselves the highest raise in the United States of America. You went from $110,000 to $140,000, and then you never showed up for work, and you missed 80% of the votes. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Whoa, that was pretty freaking awesome. Okay, he also nabbed him down on this rent thing, cut 6. And this stabilized rent thing, we talked about that yesterday. And this is...
I'm going to freeze the rent. People think it applies to all of them. No, just the 25% of the units that are rent stabilized. And by the way, it's all BS because the mayor doesn't have the power to do it anyway. The Rent Guidelines Board does, and he doesn't control the Rent Guidelines Board. So nothing is going to happen. It's all this. It's just more political blather.
Mr. Mamdani, you can respond.
You know, if you want a candidate for mayor who tells you everything that he cannot do, then Andrew Cuomo should be your choice.
Yeah, okay, whatever. As we talked about yesterday, the Adams, by the way, as you know, endorsed Andrew Cuomo. So it was about a month ago. He called him a snake and a liar. So apparently, what Adams is saying is he'd rather have the snake and the liar than the socialist. So take that for what it's worth. Curtis hit a home run. 2 things. We'll do both of them. When he talked about violent crime, I don't think anybody can dispute this. I don't think that there is a suitable comeback that anybody could make. Cut 8 when Curtis lit after both of them.
Once again, the architect of Raise the Age, Governor Cuomo, the apprentice to him, Zoran. It's personal for me. My oldest son, Anthony, last October was the victim of a vicious gang assault that could have killed him. And what happened to these juveniles? Cut free because they went to family court, not criminal court. So how can both of you look at me? I almost lost my oldest son to gang violence, and the perpetrators went to family court and got a little pat on the wrist and was sent home to do it again and again. No. We need to start charging juveniles who commit violent crime in criminal court, and I'll appoint criminal court judges who follow the law and don't just release them because of no cash bail.
Curtis's opening statement, we'll take a minute, listen to that, and we'll move on from the debates because there's some other things happening that we have to catch up, especially the budget shutdown, the government shutdown. Today, Democrats have just really blanked on themselves, in my opinion. Anyway, Curtis's opening statement, here it is.
Thank you. It's us versus them. It's us versus the insiders and the billionaires. It's us versus Cuomo. It's us versus Zoran. This is a campaign not about power. This is a campaign about you, the people. And I know many of you hardworking New Yorkers, you tell me you've been pushed aside, you've been silenced. These are the people that have all the money, all the connections. They've made their backroom deals, but we have something more important. We have you, the people. And we're not going to be silenced anymore. We're going to fight. Tonight, I want you to look at the content of my policies, to know that I've served this city for more than 50 years, the city that I love. And I'm going to share with you my vision to make New York City safer again, to make New York City more affordable again, and where everybody once again can live the American dream.
And that was a very powerful open. Now, we are going to do something we don't do, and that's break early, because when we get back, I want to jump into this budget shutdown stuff. I want to go into a little more on this NBA scandal, because the federal prosecutor outlined a very, very sophisticated, is happening with this NBA thing is sophisticated. I have a question about that. And here's my question, ladies and gentlemen, to you. And if we don't get a chance to answer it today, in 2 days, we'll be with the Saturday show. We'll take phone calls if you want to bring it up then. And that's, is there any honesty left in anything anymore? Is there? Is there anything left where there is honesty? Anything? You know, if you look inside the institutions of, let's say, even up to some religious institutions, they've been rocked with corruption scandals. You listen to what we would present later on if we have a chance, with these people still yapping and yammering, complaining, whining about the potential for the EBT cards being not fully funded, and the desire, and in one case glee, to go into the store and rob and steal. You look at every time you pick up the phone, almost, and it's a number you don't recognize. 9 times out of 10, with numbers you don't recognize, it's somebody on the other end trying to scam you out of something, day in, day out. You look at almost every aspect, the cheating scandals in school. You can go on and on with a list. And then sports, where it's okay now for men to pretend they're girls and, in a way, cheat using gender. And now this scandal that has enveloped the National Basketball Association. Is there anything, what has happened to the concept of being honest and everything that resides around honesty? An honest day's pay for an honest day's work. Honesty. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. Coming back, James Golden, fastest hour in American media continues.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
They have had months to negotiate. And you reopen the government, and we lose our leverage, and they say, well, we want this, we want that. No, there has to be an agreement right now. That's what this whole shutdown is about.
2 Democrats, Representative Catherine Clark, Bernie Sanders, admitting this is about leverage. And today, Democrats passed their leverage again. They used their leverage again, is what I should say. They refused a bill put up by Ron Johnson that would pay essential workers, including the military. Democrats have just said, screw you, again, to paying essential workers of the government. And they're doing it probably because those people are leverage. Okay, so you've got that going on. And this is a horrible thing Democrats are doing. essential workers, and it is being headlined properly in some quarters. Politico has a story today, too, about this EBT madness that people are, it's again, we took a break from it for a day, but social media is still blowing up with this EBT business, and people just openly, we're going to steal, we're going to rob. And I'm sorry to say it, the overwhelming majority of those videos are from African-American people, from black people that I see, at least in my feed. Now, I have not done a statistical analysis and all that. I'm just telling you the stuff I see on social media, what it is. And it's just disgusting. Video after video after video, glorifying thieving, stealing, as if it's okay. And I just talked about honesty. And is there any honesty left? You know what? When I was coming up, many of you were coming up, honesty was a thing. And it was a thing because it was taught in the churches. It was reinforced in the schools. You had the stories. Honest Abe. Old George Washington wouldn't lie after he chopped down the cherry tree. In the fabric of our society, honesty was taught by the institutions. So what happens when the institutions of society themselves become corrupt and there is no honesty? And then you expect it to show up in your sports games? But getting back to the showdown. Democrats block bill to pay military, essential workers. That's coming from The Hill. That's not coming from Fox News. It's not coming from the Daily BS or the Daily Caller or the Federalist. It's coming from The Hill. Democrats block bill to pay military, essential workers during shutdown. Senate Democrats blocked a Republican-sponsored bill Thursday to pay active duty members of the military. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Okay, my friends, this is where Democrats are. They have decided to shut government workers out. You heard them. They think that these people are leveraged. These government workers out, they think the American people who are upset and getting more upset by the day that their EBT bennies could be stolen from them. They think they have a right to them. It's theirs. And they are threatening to go in and create mayhem if they don't get their bennies. Democrats today blocked the Republican-led effort to provide essential government workers with paychecks. We're in day 23 of the shutdown. They called the bill overly selective, incomplete, so they didn't vote for anything. 3 Democrats, Fetterman, Raphael Warnock, and John Ossoff of Georgia, interestingly enough, voted with the Republicans on this. But this is for the military and others, and the Democrats look these people in the face and give them the middle finger. After telling America, and we had it, we'll play it again, really quickly, cut 17, Catherine Clark and Bernie have let the bag out. They're just speaking in plain terms of what this is about.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
They have had months to negotiate. And you reopen the government, and we lose our leverage, and they say, well, we want this, we want that. No, there has to be an agreement right now. That's what this whole shutdown is about.
It's about leverage. And what are they leveraging, folks? I continue to bring this up because you don't hear this on the mainstream media. There was an election in 2024. Democrats lost control of the House of Representatives. They lost control of the United States Senate. They lost the incumbent White House, put up a nominee without any primaries. That was Kamala Harris. They lost. In January, new Congress gets sworn in. All the machinations, and they were out almost every day whining and moaning ever since Trump said this big, beautiful bill he was going to pass, and even some Republicans were B.I. itching about it. But it passed. It passed the House of Representatives. It passed the United States Senate. Barely. And then the President of the United States signed it into law. Democrats lost the election. They lost 3 branches of government. And then when it came time to argue against the proposed legislation by the Republicans, they lost. And Republicans passed a measure into law. This entire shutdown is because Democrats will not abide by the Democratic way of doing things. You lost, you lost. So what they are doing is they are closing the government and saying to the president and saying to Congress, we can't stand the fact that we lost. You are going to change the things that you voted for in that bill. And unless you do that, government is going to stay closed. And some of the things in the bill include backdoor help for illegal immigrants paying their health care and other benefits. That's it in a nutshell. And they are now saying, Chuck Schumer says every day it gets better and better for Democrats. You have these other Democrats admitting, yeah, we know people will suffer and we take responsibility for that, but they got to understand they're suffering. They are leverage. You people are the leverage we have because we don't like losing elections and we don't like playing by the rules of democracy. And that is exactly what all of this is about. Now, Politico, friendly to Democrats, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which feeds more than 40 million Americans, will start to run out of funds November 1st. That's 7 days from now, my friends. Missed paychecks, canceled infrastructure projects, and mass firings haven't yet convinced congressional Democrats to change their government shutdown stance. Not Republicans, Democrats. They are acknowledging who's responsible for the shutdown. But they are now facing down another pressure point, threatening a program they've long championed, benefiting millions of America. SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, used to be called food stamps, will help, which helps feed more than 40 million people, will start to run out of funds November 1st. Carlos, let us present to the American people more. We did it earlier in the week. More of the people who are reacting because their food stamps might be shut down. Let us start with 21 and hear from the glee from some people that receive government assistance from you, the taxpayer.
I want to be in the grocery store when they start looting it, because you think that people are going to be hungry? You think that these people not going to get their Thanksgiving? Baby, when they run up in there and start stealing them turkeys, oh, it's going to be like Christmas came early up in this. I want to see the first news story about somebody stealing a turkey, because you know that about to go down, and I wanna be front row for it, because I'm here for it. Get everything up out of the grocery store. Get it all.
Steal it all. 20. Here's another one of you are their benefactors. You supply them with the money. on EBT, and this is how they say thank you for the welfare that you've been giving us for generations.
The best thing I've seen out of this government shutdown and the fact that SNAP might shut down in November is the fact that everyone is collectively agreeing they're going to rob the big grocery stores. It's on. Walmart, you better be ready. You better be ready. Because if these don't get their SNAP and they can't put food on their table for their kids, you better lock your doors. You better lock your doors because they're going to be in there with full guns and they're going to be out of there. Everything they need. It's going to be on your dime, Walmart. Your dime.
Now, let's go out to Ohio, where Ohio Democrat Representative Amelia Sykes has something to say, cut 13, Carlos, about the shutdown. And this is Democrat Representative Amelia Sykes.
We know that people are going to suffer if we don't open the government. And we only have just under a week to make sure that this does not happen. And I'm just going to make it as plain as possible. People will go hungry. While SNAP benefits are very helpful, most people are only getting about $6 a day, but that $6 a day is really impactful for families who need it. And again, I'm talking about our seniors, children. Children are a very large portion of beneficiaries of SNAP, as well as our veterans who are going to suffer.
Okay, 17, one more time. She says people are going to go hungry. People are going to starve.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
They have had months to negotiate. And you reopen the government, and we lose our leverage, and they say, well, we want this, we want that. No, there has to be an agreement right now. That's what this whole shutdown is about.
Okay, so there's our EBT segment today. Now let's go back to where we started from, this business with the NBA. This is a sophisticated, folks, this is so sophisticated. Cut 11. This is U.S. Attorney, and he's explaining some of what's in this indictment.
Beginning as early as 2019, the defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies.
This is amazing.
Some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand,
amazing,
and relay that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator sent the information via cell phone back to a co-conspirator at the table, and that person at the table was known as the quarterback. The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from others to others at the table, and together they used that information in order to win their games and to cheat the victims. Defendants used other cheating technologies such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards.
Unbelievable.
Using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards, and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table.
folks, and we're not even talking about the basketball stuff yet, because there's stuff involving that. And they were hooked up, by the way, with some of New York's major crime families, according to the indictment. Not one, not multiple crime families to pull this off. This stuff is so deep, it is totally amazing. Is anything honest anymore? All right, moving past that, Carvo. Democrats. Jolanda Jones on CNN, cut 2. This is what Democrats think of you, my friends, interviewed, and CNN, the host, that reporterette, whatever, anchorette, didn't even blink an eye when she's listening to Jolanda Jones.
Work. I'm from the hood, okay? So when a bully comes, like, if there are no rules, you literally have to figure it out. So Donald Trump has changed things, and people trying to do what's always been done is not going to work. And I think that's why Democrats are losing black people. That's why they're losing poor people, because poor people, all they want is for us to fight. So if you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck, because we can go back and forth fighting each other's faces. You've got to hit hard enough where they won't come back. And so, yeah, for the same way I went to New York and spoke with Governor Kathy Hochul and said, if they're going to try to wipe us out in Texas, we need to wipe out every Republican in New York, in California, in Illinois. So no one can make me feel bad about fighting for the people that I represent, because the people that I represent need someone who's willing to go in the ring and fight for them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
So, Representative, in that context, the reality of the world is we are living in a moment where, yes, there's this shutdown going down, and Democrats on Capitol Hill are standing up for that and the way they think is working. But we hear from them.
So, Representative, yes, I just heard you say you wanted to slash their necks. Yeah, we'll run across their necks. We'll run across that, slash their necks. We will wipe out every one of them. This is Democrat rhetoric, okay? It's the same kind of rhetoric, by the way, this Democrat rhetoric that is turning people violent, going toward ICE. We have more of that. By the way, we have people complaining in New York that today on Canal Street, the vendors of goods that are illegal are gone. The counterfeit goods vendors are not on Canal Street today. And there are liberals in New York complaining that illegal vendors selling illegal counterfeit goods are gone because of ICE. And then we have James Carville. And if we have time for James Carville, we'll get to that. And there's so much. We haven't even talked about this White House ballroom thing that has these people's panties in a wad. It's unbelievable what's happening out here. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Snerdley.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
My friends, we didn't even have time to get into this whole crying, moaning, gnashing of teeth over the East Wing of the White House that liberals are engaging in, but we do have time enough to bring you some suppant head. James Carville on the latest, where he wants to see happen to Trump supporters.
You know what we do with collaborators?
You know,
and I
collaborators.
My fantasy dream is that this nightmare ends in 2029, and I think we ought to have radical thing. I think they all ought to have their heads shaven. They should be put in orange pajamas, and it should be marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, and the public should be invited to spit on them. all of these collaborators should be shaved, pajamaed, and spit on. It's a moral judgment.
Yeah.
If you bend the knee to a criminal tyrant, and that's what he is. Understand, he is a criminal. 34 convictions would have been a lot more, okay, if they would have pursued it. He is a tyrant. He has no use for democracy. He has no use for the values of this country. And you are collaborating with this, and it will bring eternal shame to your company.
On that happy note, my friends, we leave you with Chicago's 2 weeks. They started number one back in 1976. This is one of their biggest ballads ever. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude always for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back tomorrow for the already it's Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.